All right, debut episode of the Falls Count Anywhere podcast, part of Earnestly podcast, of course. I'm your host, Ernest EJ Christian, coming to you. It is March 19th, 2025. A lot to talk about in the world of professional wrestling. And of course, I'm doing here today with my co-host of the show here, Mr. Rob the Genius here. Rob, how you doing, brother?
Oh, not bad. Can't complain.
Yeah, it's a new field of the show now. It is now, for record, guys. This is actually going to be part of the podcast. No new feed. This is part of the podcast. When you feel on YouTube, you can find the show on the same feed no matter what. It's just basically organizing, sectioning off, some of the content, of course. We have original content here, like this one, of course, and other, we do the retro podcast, retro podcast. We'll have the basketball retro podcast very soon. Returning to the feed very soon. So just another attempt to kind of keep the wrestling thing separate from like the regular podcast stuff. So, so people find all the work properly, but we'll all have it on one feed here, of course. And of course, you can see you can subscribe to the podcast. Our podcast calls all podcast catchers. 1 second, here you go. On Earnestly Pod on YouTube. We're coming to you live on YouTube, coming to you live on X, and as well as on Facebook. So we got a lot to talk about today in the world of wrestling. First off, you did see Raw, I'm sure, on Monday. My question to you, Rob, is this. Did you watch Raw live at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Because I was home, so I watched the opening 20 minutes. I watched all the Cena stuff at the beginning, basically.
What do you think about well, before we get to the Cena stuff, what do you think about Raw being so early? I gotta be honest, I went home early to watch this. I wanted to see the Cena thing. If it was any other regular Raw that was done like this, I would have, whatever. I would have not left early, let me work early, come up for it. But it's kind of cool having a Raw at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I mean, because me normally, when it comes on at 8, if it comes on at 8, I get nap time in there sometime during the same thing with SmackDown,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a slug, man. It's long.
Yeah. So coming on at 3, I didn't need to take a nap in the middle of it or anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched, let me see the part. I watched all the Cena stuff, and then I came back. I watched the main event.
Of course.
I saw some highlights of some of the stuff in between.
Yeah. So obviously we got to talk about now. Mr. John Cena finally comes out of hiding after the infamous heel turn done now over 2 weeks ago on Elimination Chamber. He finally spoke for the first time. It is, I mean, there's very few moments in wrestling that I'm left speechless. And Monday afternoon, I understand about the afternoon because Raw was on afternoon time. Monday afternoon was one of those times. And I was telling someone the other day, like, there are moments where I'm reminded why, even at the age of 44, turning 45 in 2 months, why I still love this shit. There's reasons why. And I was reminded of that on Monday. That promo by John Cena, that 22, the whole thing clocks in when you include Cody and whatnot. It clocks in at about 26 minutes with Cody Rhodes on YouTube. Might be one of the best promos I think I've seen in the last 10, 15 years. And that's not hyperbole at all. What John Cena did and what he said, and there's a lot of real life, things there when you consider how his career has gone in terms of how people have received him, the crowd received him through these years. And for him to, knowing his career for 20-something years and knowing everything he stood for, and to see him do what he did there, I mean, it's like I said, weeks ago when we did the podcast after he turned, 2 weeks ago, where that moment for me when Hogan turned and joined the NWO, that was my moment. This was my son's moment, Cena turning, because Cena's his Hogan. And you have the turn, of course, 2 weeks ago. Then the calm and the silence and nothing for 2 weeks. Let the whole thing cook, which I told you on the show I thought was genius. Don't respond immediately. Let it cook a little bit. This thing it's hype. And then his response, just as impactful as the turn itself. I mean, the words he said. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Was A++. That was a master class in what a promo should be done. Your thoughts on the promo?
Okay, and I guess I always, I try not to do too much, get too hyperbolic about stuff immediately.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's definitely one line I didn't like the whole thing. I'm not a baby face or a heel. I'm like, because I hate when people do that. Like,
Why? What's wrong with that?
because no, don't do the fourth wall stuff. I hate that.
Oh.
Like
Uh-oh.
you could just as easily said I'm not a hero or a villain, right? Just don't using all the industry terminology.
But can you argue that because of how polarizing he was for 20 years in terms of the crowd, like, you had half a crowd that loves him, half a crowd that hates him for a reason, that kind of made sense, actually, in a sense, what he was trying to do there?
No, no, because you're a character on TV. No, see, I'm a stickler about this stuff now. No, when you're off camera, then whatever, right? But
Hmm.
when you are on camera, when you are doing your part on the show, then no, I don't break. No, I don't. You can wink at the camera, but I don't. Don't don't use all that insider terminology and all that. No, you're supposed to be in character. Okay, I hate when people do that stuff. It's too cute and it's too clever and all.
Right.
I mean, he could have just because he could have very again. You could say I'm not a hero or not a villain. Same thing. Okay,
Yeah.
same concept. I just
Would you rather him cuss out the crowd, like use f bombs?
Um,
You fans can stick it, brother. That kind of
well,
thing.
I mean that if that fits the character more.
Right. I guess you're right.
I mean, and because yeah, but I mean,
So wait, so you're not telling me you didn't enjoy the promo, did you?
no, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying
Oh,
that.
okay, okay.
No,
So
no,
far,
no, no,
getting a negative
no,
vibe here. We're like, oh, wait
no,
a second, Rob. Something.
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, okay.
I mean, to me, it's like when you watch basketball now and they shoot like 8 3-pointers, and I mean, it's great if they go in, but to me, it's still too many 3-pointers. Okay, I mean,
Yeah, I
okay,
agree. I agree. Yeah,
that's just like it's like that. But I mean, but other than that, I mean, because I was curious as to what kind of direction is he going to go in with this. Um, so and what would what his grievance be that would make him do that and make him do what he did? And I think again, given what we know, about that in kayfabe in real life with his career or run there, it's fitting. Um, basically because again, people wanted him a lot. There were people, well, because look, there are some people who were happy to just watch the show and were not really upset about it, but anything. But then there are people, but then there were definitely people who were mad at how he was being portrayed on television and mad at the type of character he was playing
yeah.
and wanted him to, basically turn heel for their own amusement.
Which
And
you said also too that it's a great thing he didn't turn heel at any point before then because doing it now makes the most sense.
yeah, and having somebody to do it to, that would actually resonate, right? Because again, if he'd done this in 2012 with somebody like Christian or Sheamus, then no, it wouldn't have hit the same.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
um, I think I said before, the only person until like the only other person that this would have worked for would maybe been like Daniel Bryan back in 2013.
Right.
Because people were that sympathetic towards him at that point.
What'd you make of the music? He still played his regular music, no changes there. He still wore the jorts. I mean,
Um,
obviously he has a shirt, the more brownish,
yeah.
shirt. But other than that, it's still the same Cena, just a little somber. And he was in character for the word go. And I'll tell you, one of the things I think I realized too also. I think our friend here, of course, DJ, mentioned too also, and I actually agree with him. I was reminded of this also watching on Monday. That we talk about guys, greatest guys on the stick, greatest guys on the mic. Obviously The Rock and all these other Austin and all these guys who done great promos. Not that we ever said that Cena was not great on the stick, but I think what we saw Monday was a reminder that he's probably on top level top 5, top 10 guys ever on the stick.
And I think, yeah, and I think for guys, I mean, I think he's higher than. I mean, I'd put him like way higher than almost everybody
Yeah,
because one thing as far as going above and beyond what's in the script, right? I
yeah,
think because I mean, a lot of guys look. I mean, Austin ran through his catchphrases and he was great at that. Okay.
yeah.
Um, The Rock, we know The Rock is great at, you know,
What the Rock does.
he's great at what's on the script,
Yeah,
but he very much needs the script.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. And so I would say, I mean, if we're talking about people who don't, who can do the most and make it at least feel like they're not, you know, just doing what's on the script. And I mean, and and he has at times veered off of the script and kind of ad libbed and whatnot. I think he's the best at that, definitely.
yeah,
Because how many people? Because people, not that many people ad lib like that. Roman was doing a lot of that during
yeah.
um, but there aren't that many people that can do that and do it well. I mean, most like 99% of the people, you know, are basically even the great promo people. They have a simple rap that they stick to, and or they're just really good at executing whatever was written for them. Um, but there are only a few people who, again, at least come off like can come off like they're ad libbing.
Right, right. And that's the thing with Cena too. Also, like watching it also is that, and especially for someone like me who didn't watch his rise because I was out for 17 years. Like I was out in 2002 when he came to WWE when he got called to the main roster. I stopped watching. Like I knew who he was obviously through the years, and you would like see, oh, what's going on here, but we weren't watching like tediously week to week. And to still understand how polarizing it was in those 17 years, while I was gone, and learning in hindsight, and then watching that promo on Monday, and I felt that, like his every word he said, I felt that. I know exactly what he was talking about. You know, he literally went into that mode, and like that's the thing about wrestling we love is that it makes you feel something, an emotion, even if it's scripted.
Yeah,
And John Cena, hit that nerve in ways that not many people could do that, and he did that A plus plus again, an absolute masterclass, in a promo, and of course you have Cody comes out there, and Cody, to his credit, countered well, with his energy, the crowd would, and by the way, for the record, I'm assuming that this had been planned before, that doing this in Europe, where those crowds are extra, so the emotion of having the crowds being loud as they were and knowing how they are in Europe, genius move. I don't
yeah,
know if I don't think you had the same. You have a loud crowd if this was done also in America, but Europe is something different, and
yeah.
we've seen the last couple of years how they react, and I'll tell you what they this was genius. If you're gonna do this and have them speak to a crowd and have the reaction you want, that's what you wanted. You wanted that crowd. That was the perfect crowd to do it for, or in front of. You there?
Yeah, I'm still, yeah, I'm
Oh,
just, yeah, because
okay.
nothing. You're right, and now I thought Cody was fine.
Hmm.
Um, Now I think what we're going to see in the next few weeks, whether or not because one thing with Cena, if he smells blood in the water, then
Yeah.
he'll bury you in those promo segments.
But where would you do? I don't see anything that Cody did that left any like stones unturned in a sense. Like obviously, what you look back to the Rock Cena thing, and obviously Cena Tried to bury The Rock and had a whole build up, for their feud for those 2 WrestleManias.
Yeah.
Cody's red hot right now with the crowd, and I mean, it's called what it is. He called Cena a little bitch. He was
Yeah,
straightforward with him.
but I mean, like, 'cause remember, back in was it 2012?
Yeah,
Um, Cena, he kind of basically exposed the Rock,
yeah,
you know,
pretty much.
and then of course, and then 2017, he got a good dick in Roman, and Roman wasn't ready for it. I think
Yeah,
Roman was trying to remember his lines or something, and and then he just interjected like it's called a promo. You better learn how to do these, you know.
yeah.
And Roman didn't have a comeback for it, really.
I heard about obviously the Rock one I'm very familiar with, but the one um Roman, I heard about that, but I've never actually seen the promo. I gotta
Yeah.
watch that one day. Yeah,
So if at any point along the way, he Cody gives him some type of opening, and like he's gonna take it, and it'll be interesting to see how what if Cody has a comeback for it,
I guess now what's left is so now we have 4 weeks to go to WrestleMania, like 4 weeks from today, actually, I believe, or yesterday,
Yeah,
rather.
we got 4 Mondays and 5 Fridays.
Right. What's left to do? Like, obviously, you have the Rock's role in this, obviously, and
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll have something to say between now and then.
yeah.
But what else? I don't think you can top what you saw on Monday, honestly, at this point.
Probably not. I think no, I think what you do is you have, you know, however Cena is, I guess I don't know, we don't know, again, we don't know these people's availability.
Yeah.
But their interactions, I think now between now and then there are interactions he can have with some other people to kind of cement his turn. Like, you know, an easy layup would, be to have him run into R-Truth and just beat the dog crap out of him.
It's always hanging out there. Yep.
I mean, that's a layup, right? And
Right.
then
Yep.
and he'll get heat for that. So, but I think between, yeah, I mean, really, and I guess, well, what does make this kind of difficult is like I don't remember the dates that he's specifically been announced for Cena, right? So because and
Yeah.
that could
They haven't said anything yet. I know. Well, I know that he's back next Monday
okay,
with Cody again. I know that.
because you
Beyond
gotta
that, I
have
don't.
some consistency. Like he's got to be you got to have a stretch where he's there for a few weeks
Yeah.
to kind of build.
Well, and to your point, we're now on the final stretch now before WrestleMania. We're now in that spot in the pocket now. Like
Yeah.
you gotta be here at least next 3 to 4 weeks going forward.
So you got to, I mean, because that will totally, I mean, that'll totally mess with the momentum.
Well, exactly, and especially the fact that you did get 2 weeks after the turn, which, and for the record, I'm glad it did the way it did it. Let it cook a little bit because the internet was still buzzing 2 weeks after, and it's still buzzing. And then you did this thing, and then you have the thing coming up next week, obviously, and then if you want to take a week off after next week, go right ahead. But then you needed those last 2 weeks to count. So I think that build moving forward is going to be the question to see what they do to make this this match even more hype. Because I think The Rock has to be involved somehow, somewhere.
Yeah. And, oh yeah, for sure. And, but they gotta have some consistent interaction for the next 5 weeks because, and look, I mean, obviously, there's no way this is going to cool off,
No,
but you don't want to, like, you can stilt the momentum of things if,
yeah,
like, if he's there next week and then we don't see him again until the show, right? I mean,
right,
that can kind of stilt the momentum a bit.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you said the R-Truth thing is a layup. I agree with that. I don't know what else you can do to in creative to make this interesting at this point now, and it is like you do next week. Obviously, another showdown. Maybe have Cody get jumped again, and then take a week off, and then after that, you need to cook next 2 weeks before you get into April. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, again, a masterclass of a promo. Just amazing. The crowd was incredible. You couldn't script that. And the best part too is also when after Cody got done what he was doing, best thing Cena did was just leave. He just left. He dropped the mic and just left.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get? Because he said something in the promo which really stood out. You're not getting new music and this and that. It's me. It's mine. Do you think that we'll get new music, anything new, different? Do you think you'll still get the same Cena, this jorts, sneakers? Do you think any changes will happen in terms of
Um,
like apparel?
see, well, I think he should. Um,
If so, what? I mean, you had the fucking. You had the fucking Elvis character you can go back to if you want to, but I don't know if it's dated at this point.
um, put a suit on, man. Um,
Corporate Cena.
yeah.
That may be
Uh,
the next step. If The Rock is involved and that's exactly what's going to happen, then we may get that.
to me, because I mean, look, I got old school mentality about turns, right? And
Yeah.
you should change up you need to change some things up, right? You can't just, you know, you can't just like if nothing changes, then then basically it was just a thing we did for a moment, you know. Because look, I mean, remember, I mean, Hogan, he dropped the red and yellow, he went to all black.
Yeah.
He changed his music, right? He started working like a heel, you know. Um, Roman, what did Roman do? Roman changed his music. Roman worked different. Roman started cheating, right? That's because remember, you know, you're a villain now. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to be acting different. He's sold out. He has turned to the dark side. So um, so yes, you're supposed to move differently because you have changed.
Right.
And so if you don't change anything, if all there is to it is just, oh well, he turned on him at the Elimination Chamber. I mean, that if that ends up being all there is to it,
Yeah, it's
then
kind of lame. There's got to be some character change. And you know what? Honestly, I think we will. I think these next couple of weeks may be where we get that.
yeah, and because like when and I'm in this because like with these people who want Bianca to turn heel, I always bring that up. It's like okay,
I
um,
know you hate that. I know
well,
you hate
because
me bringing
no,
it
because all they
up.
want look, because they don't want her to change anything. They just want her to turn on somebody and be a heel, right?
Right. But I said
And
all you'll get is black angry black woman.
yeah, and I mean, and I'm sorry, and so yeah, I do want to see Cena change some, and go corporate, put a suit on.
And
Um,
I think we will get that. I think we will get some semblance of a turn in the character. I think this could be the goodbye of the jorts and the sneakers and the
yeah,
the
because
the
then I
little
mean, because in that
handkerchief.
way, and then of course, look, we know he's going to turn back to when it's time when he's towards the end. Then
We think that anyway. We think it's gonna
we
happen.
think, yeah. But if they do that, just so they can close out as a hero, then when you bring that all when you bring everything back, it means something.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So obviously John Cena was obviously the highlight of the entire show. No doubt about that, and rightfully so. It was a productive week in general. SmackDown from Friday, and of course on Raw on Monday, we got the official Bianca Io Sky contract signing for their match at WrestleMania. Except Rhea Ripley stole the damn contract, signed her name on there. So that's now even more complicated. Now, I mean, we've been assuming we get a three-way match, triple threat match between the three. Maybe we're gonna get that. Maybe not. I don't know yet. I don't know. I feel like Rhea, and I know she's the face here also in this, but she's coming off as kind of bratty a little bit now.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if I like that or not.
well, so like, okay, so I think they're trying to do some type of character development,
Right,
and it's centered around her being, childish and impulsive,
right.
and because now that we go back to that promo that her and Charlotte had after the Royal Rumble, Charlotte called her a kid and said,
Right.
you're acting like a kid because you came out here and you couldn't just wait for me to make a decision. You came out here and demanded that I choose you, and now you're being immature kids, and now I'm gonna make you wait. And so now we start there, and then and then we go to win the way she lost the title and she, started jawing at Bianca and lost focus. And now she's, acting out here, because she wants to, because she wants to be in the match because she wants to win her title back, right?
Right.
Um, so they're trying to put together kind of a thread of things. Um,
Is Io also a babyface or no?
yeah. Oh no, she is. Yes.
Okay, so we got
But
three baby. So we got three babyfaces right here going on.
well, because and then, but see, this is another one. See, this I know I'm sounding like Debbie Downer here, but it's not. I mean, but I mean, she didn't really have a kind of babyface turn moment, but she is one, and she is one now. And honestly, she's better off for it because like her in ring style is babyface stuff, all the flying all over the ring and everything.
Yeah, I feel like she's the one benefiting from this more than anything else because she's the one getting the big rub more than anything else. I mean, Bianca and Rhea already made.
Yeah, and I guess it's so like I guess a lot of it all depends on how this thing turns out, right?
Yeah,
Um because yeah, I mean because I can see what you're saying about Rhea not liking like the way she's acting as a character now. And I mean I guess like they're trying to add some, character development and some intrigue and all of that. I just I've talked to a few people, seen a few people on Twitter or whatever who are not particularly happy about them making it a three-way. They just wanted to see Rhea and Bianca one on one.
yeah,
Um, so but this was obviously that look, it's a three-way, so that you know, basically, so you can have you can have some type of shenanigans involved, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Um, and I so
I think it's more likely. I think it just seems more likely that we're going to get a triple threat match at WrestleMania
yeah, and I mean, it is going to be one. It's just they wouldn't be doing all of this for it to not be one, right? Um,
unless they do something before WrestleMania where like Rhea has to earn a spot in that match.
well, I mean, they will, but that's where I think it's. I mean, it's very convoluted right now. And actually, they did this in 2020, I think,
What is that with
with Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Chris Benoit.
Oh, you mean 2004,
2004, not two. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2004.
2020.
Sorry. Yeah,
Benoit's been dead 13 years at that point.
yeah. So yeah. But so it's just it's a callback to that whole angle, and I don't remember how exactly they would end up resolving that, but
Yeah,
and of course, I mean, and some people, of course, are pointing out this is just silly that it doesn't matter that she signed her name on the contract. It doesn't matter, right? But they just print another contract and have Bianca and Io sign it, right? Um, so I don't like, I mean, they got to resolve this some type of way, and I'm sure she'll have to win her way into the match some kind of way. Um, but the only problem, like, we'll see how they do it. I mean, because right now it's hard to imagine. I can't think of a way for them to get her in the match without making either Io or Bianca look stupid.
yeah,
Because why would why would either one of them invite her into the match or want her in the match?
right, right. Very good point.
But
Very good point.
I mean, but so I mean, so we'll see what happens, right? And because she shouldn't be allowed in the match, and but
No,
see,
she shouldn't.
well,
She lost. She lost clean. She lost clean against Io.
yeah, and but see, this is where you kind of miss having Mr. McMahon
Right.
because like back in 2019, Becky won the Rumble, and then 2 weeks later, Mr. McMahon just said, "Well, you're out," right? And he could do that because he's Mr. McMahon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Um, so we don't have that kind of figure to do that here. Um, so I don't know, I don't know how they're going to get there. Um, it is kind of twisted and convoluted right now. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of path they forge to get through all of that.
I will say though, the other women's side of the bracket, we finally got moving on Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. That SmackDown,
Yeah,
that segment on SmackDown was pretty wild.
yeah, and
And I know you're happy about that. You know,
oh
being a
yeah, yeah,
Charlotte Flair homer, you are.
well, of course. But I mean, I've been waiting for them to turn up the volume because um now they still look. They got to do some promo stuff. They got to flesh out some of you know like well they need to talk a bit and flesh some stuff out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's an angle that they can take if they if that's what they want to do, and basically that you know um Tiffany thinks she's there to she's Charlotte's replacement, and Charlotte's like, the hell you ain't, and and also and actually in real life, just hearing some of her talk about some things, um Charlotte is definitely aware in real life that there are people who think that it's time for her to go away.
Yeah.
I mean, like, as in retire, as in be done. Um, and
Which is not fair, but because she's so good if she does.
um,
When used correctly, she's so good what she does.
yeah, and why should she retire? I mean, she's the same age as Cody and Seth and Roman,
Correct.
and
39, right? 38, 39?
she's 38, and
There you
so
go.
and but it's like, I mean, it's different with women because we throw women out faster on television.
Yeah.
We don't, I mean, that's just the reality of society.
Right.
We throw women to get lost.
Yeah, exactly.
When you get close to 40, we tell you to get lost.
Yeah. Although in WWE now, 38, 39, 40 is actually technically your peak years now. Technically.
For men, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, this is uncharted territory for the women
Yeah, because
because
it's only been 10 years doing it since Divas.
and
Uh,
because this era is the first time you've actually had a number of women over the age of 35 who are still going.
right.
They used to throw. I mean, it used to be like, because Trish and Lita and all of them, they were gone by like 31, 32.
Right.
And if they would either get run out of there, or they would quit. Now, just out of frustration. They used to just not, you didn't get to stick around that long.
Yeah.
Um, and so now there are a number of women over 35, but you know, you but like particularly with her and with now I've heard some people say about Becky also, kind of that, well, what else was there for them to do? And and it's like, well, I mean, they've each got one WrestleMania main. Like Roman has 9, right?
Yeah.
You don't think they want to have more than one, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And because some people were not happy about her winning the Royal Rumble. It was like, well, there's about 8 or 9 men who won 2 Royal Rumbles. You think, I mean, there shouldn't be any women who get to win 2?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and I spoke about this on the Mount Wrestling podcast. Like, the last real barrier for women in wrestling is age and longevity.
And I think we'll get there. I think Charlotte will be one of those, I think she would probably be the first one to break that mold, because as long as they're able to still move around well and whatnot, they're gonna be all right. And I think she's one of those. I think Becky's in mid-30s too also. Maybe
Well, they're
maybe a
about
little
a year
later.
apart. I think yeah, they're a year apart.
There you go. And I think Becky, actually, to be honest with you, her being away right now, actually, and it may actually help her body wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and so, and I mean, I would caution people, if you're going to be a stickler about you know women going away when they get close to 40.
Right.
I mean, Bianca's going to be 36 this year.
Yeah. Oh my
Uh,
God.
yeah, she's closer to Becky and Charlotte than she is to Rhea Ripley.
They say black don't crack, man, and she's the for example of that. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's but and she has all the basically the same, or the same type of accomplishment. She's made him at WrestleMania. She's won the Royal Rumble. She's held all the
Right.
championships. So
I think this crop is a good chance to break that mold. The names we've all mentioned, Becky, Bianca, Charlotte, who are entering that kind of
yeah,
phase now.
And because I was just when we've been talking about all this WrestleMania stuff, and I just got curious and started counting like how many WrestleMania matches like certain men have, and like Randy Orton's got like 20, and Triple H has over 20, and of
Yep.
course Undertaker has over 20, and Cena is going to be like this will be like his 16th or 17th
Yeah.
WrestleMania match, and the woman with the most, I think Becky has the most WrestleMania matches of any woman, and she has 8.
Just that much? Wow, I'm surprised.
I mean that much? I mean, but we're ready to, some people are ready to throw her and Charlotte out, right?
Yeah. No,
And
I'm surprised at that many matches she's done in WrestleMania. I thought maybe
she's
close to
at
like
8, and this
six
will
or
be
something.
8. This will be 8 this year for Charlotte, and
Right.
but but their male counterparts in the business are people like Randy Orton and Triple H, and
Right.
those guys have 20 matches,
Yeah.
okay, 20 WrestleMania matches, and they have you know multiple WrestleMania main events, and
So what you're saying is there's a lot of weird sexism still going on there.
oh, absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, and yes, there's a lot of especially in the IWC when it comes to the women's division, there's a whole lot of, well, it's this girl's turn. She needs to win this stuff because it's her turn.
Right.
And and well, those other girls, they had their turn, right? They won their stuff. They had their turn. They don't need to win anything else.
Yeah.
And yeah, meanwhile, people openly want John Cena to win his 17th championship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people would be fine with Randy Orton winning another world championship, you know, at 40 something years old in year number 25 or whatever it is of his career, right?
Hmm.
You know,
Not fair.
so,
I mean,
so
right. It's not fair.
no, and I mean and I was looking at Randy because because Randy's even talked about this. Like he's had like his career, like it hasn't always been like he's had ups and downs.
Yeah.
Like over the 20 years, he's had times where he was red hot and he's had times where he wasn't. And like you know, they never turned him into a jobber. They never said, "Okay, Randy, it's time for you to just go put some people over now." They never did that to him, even when he was going through a cold spell, right? He stayed in the same position because
Yeah.
and so to me, that's what you need to look at here with those girls because, and again, if you're if you really are interested in equality, and then that's part of it. Part of it is now I don't expect Becky or Charlotte to wrestle for 20 years because again, because they're already, but 15, sure. Um,
Yeah.
and they shouldn't have to spend the last 5 years of their careers being jobbers.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to spend 5 years putting people over if they want to wrestle 5 more years.
Right. Agreed.
Um,
I totally agree with you on that one.
and they should continue to, get big matches and win championships and beat people, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And so even look, so even even personal bias aside, yes, I think Charlotte should beat Tiffany at WrestleMania. Yes,
Right.
okay. I
Yeah.
think
It
it's a
puts
good
better for
story.
Charlotte. Tiffany being a chase point anyway.
Yeah, and
A
then
lot,
also
lot, lot more value in that.
they need well, they got to figure out exactly what Tiffany
What she is.
what she is because she came up, she was a heel the whole time in NXT. She was started as a heel last year, but people were cheering for her. People started cheering for her last year. So so you think, okay, well, we'll turn her babyface and people are cheering for her like this, but she still really hasn't had a character switch either, right? And so now they're trying to have her cut babyface promos, and they've had her get beat up a bunch of times by Nia Jax to try and get her sympathy.
Yeah.
So they're trying, but yeah, I mean they got to figure, they got to figure that out with her. What is she going to be? Um, because if she's gonna be a babyface long term, then you know it's hard to be that now. Like to be one now and in this day and age, you got to be able to you know to do like I mean, you got to be able to get some sympathy from people, or like you can't being like a Hulk Hogan type baby face is almost impossible now.
Hell, John Cena was the last bastion of that. To be honest, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, like in this day and age, just I mean, the route to get, um,
That's why I keep saying it's be interesting to see what they do with Bianca, because Bianca might be the only other person that could probably pull it off. But to your
yeah,
point, if people get
yeah,
tired of it, you got to do something.
and the problem is, well, the problem is Tiffany's not a sympathetic figure,
She's not at all.
and that's part of the problem. Like Jey Uso is a sympathetic figure. Um, Cody can he can tap into it because of whose dad is,
Right.
and his dad was a sympathetic babyface. He can
Yeah.
tap into that.
And as
Uh,
good as Cody is right now as a babyface, I mean, how long is that going to happen? I mean, I expect him to turn heel at some point in this couple of years.
yeah, maybe, but I think, yeah, well, I think, well, I won't rule it out, but I think it's just a wait and see. It's going to be a while, I think.
Definitely.
Um,
Other things that happened in this week, I that stood out to me. Street Profits win tag team championships on SmackDown. We have a possible Braun Breaker Penta feud emerging. You saw the end of Raw on Monday, where
yeah,
Penta's staring at Braun Breaker's title. Penta's has only been in the company 2 months. He's red hot right now. I
yeah.
mean, are we going to see a Penta Braun title match at Mania?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely think so. Yes.
Okay,
Um, yeah, and then now I think his brother has signed now. That I mean, the reports are that his Ray Phoenix is signed now, and so I wouldn't surprise me if they. Well, I think then the reports are saying that they're probably going to have them be a tag team. So
right,
I could see, Braun beating him at WrestleMania, and then, Ray Phoenix gets there and they just become a tag team on Raw, which
right.
could be good because I mean, they could, yeah, I mean, the Raw tag team division could use them. I mean,
Yeah. I mentioned the Profits a little while ago. I mean, right call. Glad to see this at the belt again.
yeah.
Will they actually be booked properly this time though? I mean, this team they should be easy to book, and yet there's been trouble with that last couple of years.
Well, because all right, because we had a couple of years for like 2 years, the tag team belts were just they were tied up in the whole
Bloodline thing, right?
blood with the bloodline, and then with Judgment Day. Like, they were tied up for, like, almost 2 years just with that, and then so they finally got them free of that last year, and now they actually then they do have a good functioning tag team division on SmackDown now.
Yeah, they do.
So, um, and what I think is gonna happen is I think if there's gonna be some type of wacky multi-team ladder match or something probably at WrestleMania with them and, Ciampa and Gargano and the Motor City Machine Guns and maybe another team. Um So I think that's where we're headed there.
Well, we'll see.
And
Mhm.
it's the tag team style on SmackDown has been much improved this year.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm glad they're prioritizing it this time. It's been kind of obviously reason with it being tied up last couple of years, but glad to see it's not time anymore, and more people are getting some shine. All right, now that's out the way. Now, a couple of things I want to react to if we get out of here. Um, there was a list done by BET, Black Entertainment, Black Entertainment Television. They
Yeah.
somebody wrote a top 15 black wrestlers list. And they put it out last week. It's been getting a little bit of spin on a couple of the wrestling media sources here. I know Jim Cornette had a reaction to it, which is which really tripped me out the way he reacted to him and Brian Last reacted to it. Here's the list here. I'll go 15 to 1, and we'll react to the whole thing. 15, he had Jazz. 14, Shelton Benjamin. 13, Naomi. 12, Jacqueline. 11, Big E. 10, Devon Dudley. 9, Bianca Belair. 8, Bobby Lashley. 7, Ron Simmons / Farouk. 6, Junkyard Dog. 5, Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moan, as Mr. Cornette calls her. Mercedes Moan.
No,
4, Mark Henry. 3, Kofi Kingston. 2, The Rock. And number 1, Booker T. All right. So, I mean, there's some recency bias in this to some degree.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't mind the list of people who are on this list. The order's all jacked up though.
Well, I guess for me, all right, just say top 15 of the modern era.
Right.
Okay. Because if you're gonna say ever, then you have to go all the way back.
But they're not going to do that. You
Well,
know they're not
then
going to
just
do
say
that.
modern era then,
VKM.
because
I already assume that every list you see going forward, unless your name is Jim Cornette, they're going to go Vince era, 82 on.
well, then just say so. That's
I I
fine.
I get it. I mean, Sammartino might be the only guy that even get even a sniff at anything. Bruno Sammartino at any modern day list because of
Yeah,
how
I
big he
mean,
was.
and to me, it's just be honest. I mean, like, yes, most of us who talk about this stuff now, our frame of reference starts around when Vince McMahon took over from his dad.
Right.
Okay. And that's fine. That's fine. It is fine. It is fine for that to be our frame of reference. We just need to be honest about it.
Right.
Okay.
I agree. So, what's the biggest part of the list that stood out for you? Because to me, I'll say one real quick. You might agree with this one. Like, I have no problem Booker T being in the top 3. Hell, even top 2. But I'm thinking The Rock's number 2 only because of the fact that he's not fully black.
And see, that's,
Am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that?
no, I think you're right. And because there are a lot of, our people who continue to, have issue and who, I don't know, just weird about it. I mean,
Because there's no list that exists in the world where Booker T will be ahead of The Rock at any point.
no.
Okay,
And
much so to me, the only reason why The Rock's number 2 behind Booker T is because they view Rock as half black, which he really is half black.
okay,
But still,
fine.
but still,
I mean,
that's silly
okay.
though, in my opinion. That's really
No,
silly.
but there's this ongoing myth that he doesn't of him not acknowledging his black half or black side, and that's actually just not true because he has acknowledged it plenty of
That's
times.
nonsense. That's nonsense, dude. That's just
But
people.
it's a myth that persists,
The
and
IWC, IWC.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Again, making things up, making things up. Come on.
I would just say, well, first of all, again, look at his dad, and his name is Dwayne Johnson.
Right. You'll
Okay,
get black. That's a blackity black name. Dwayne Johnson is a
yes,
blackity black name. What the fuck we
yes,
talking about, bro? Come on now.
yes. Okay, his name isn't like Timothy Smith or something. Okay,
Right. Exactly.
right. Um, and then, cause look at it like, okay, now I think actually Booker T would be fine at number 2 because I've been thinking
Oh, yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Booker T top 2. I'm okay with that.
Well, cause look at it, okay, he held every title he
Yep.
held every title in WCW.
Yep.
He was world champion, he was US champion, he was TV
Correct.
champion, he was tag team champion multiple
Right.
times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he held the world title in WWE when that was like the secondary, main championship. He was king of the ring. Um, I don't know what he was in TNA. I don't know what titles he won in TNA, if he won any. I don't know. But he was there. And on top of that, I mean, he's become a very successful promoter.
Yeah.
He's been running reality of wrestling for well over a decade now. And like they're doing like
Very
huge
well.
now.
Yep.
Like so he's been a commentator. He's been a big success in literally every aspect of the business.
Hulk
But
Hogan, we're coming for you. Hulk Hogan, we're coming for you. That shit don't get old, bro. That shit never gets
oh,
old.
oh man, that was. Did you ever seen the actual promo where he said it?
Of course, I see. Well,
Oh, okay. And just when he puts his head down after he says, he's like, "Oh
yeah.
no,"
And
and
then
then
Sherry, and of course Sherry, the sweetheart she is, trying to comfort him.
yeah, she's like, "It's okay, it's okay."
Okay.
oh, man. Oh,
am I wrong for saying that Mark Henry is way too high?
no, you're not.
Because I'm not a big Mark Henry guy. I'm sorry. I just I never really at any point in his career never. I know he had a little run. Obviously, the early run in Attitude Era, whatever. But I know he had a little run in in the like close to the late 2000 aughts area. He did have a little bit of run there. But I've never been a Mark Henry guy. No offense to Mark Henry, of course, but never been a Mark Henry guy. I feel like if he's top 15, yeah, I'm okay with that. But top 4,
yeah,
no.
like,
There are guys like Bobby Lashley, I think, have done more than Mark Henry, in my opinion.
yeah. Now, and let's just say, okay, if we're sticking to again our frame of reference, I still wouldn't have him at number 4. No, I would have him. I'd have him in the list, but I wouldn't have him number 4. I'd have him
Probably
down there.
10 or 11.
Yeah, I'd have him down there in the teens. I wouldn't have him at number
Yeah,
4.
yeah. Um, I think Sasha Banks is. I guess she's fine where she's at. She made it at WrestleMania, held a lot of
Yeah,
titles. She's doing pretty well in AEW.
yeah.
Junkyard Dog, I think, is more of a nostalgia thing,
Well,
acknowledging that.
it's kind of how they do. It's kind of how they put Bruno on these lists.
Right, same thing,
Um,
same thing.
but if you, I mean, the thing about it, like if you really understand the full context of his career, I think he does belong high on the list
Yeah,
because, well, before he got to the WWF, because unfortunately, like people, we remember him in the WWF, and he was already past his prime then. Um, but when he was in when he worked for Bill Watts in Mid South, he was the top star in the entire territory. And this was in Deep South in late 70s, early 80s, and he was the top star in the entire territory,
yeah.
and was selling out houses like all over the place. And that kind of gets lost to history now.
And the thing is, too, also he still gets talked about now
Yeah,
to this day, 2025.
yeah,
It's still a name pops up. You think '80s wrestling? There's Hogan, Savage, Junkyard Dog.
yeah.
So you got to give him credit for that one. Bianca, I can make a case for her going higher at this point now. What she's done in the short 5 years she's been in WWE, but I'm okay with her being 9 for now. I think if we do this list again in a couple of years, she might be top 3. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, yeah, so it just a lot depends on yeah, it depends on how the next few years go.
Yeah,
It depends on how much longer she keeps doing this because
right.
like, does she have any aspirations outside of wrestling?
Yeah, good point.
Because I think she's somebody that if she wanted to be if she's serious about doing something like acting, then I think she would be going really fast. Okay.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Um,
She's young enough. She can definitely get that. Here's my question though: Who is not on this list that
okay.
should be on this list?
Out of these top 15, who is not here? All right, so Bobby's there.
I have one guy that we have to. I'd like think maybe we could consider, but I understand why he's not there.
Okay, I mean, if we're doing top 15, just again from our wheelhouse as fans, um, who would I take off? That's the thing. I mean, wouldn't take off Booker, wouldn't take off Rock.
Yeah,
Um,
take up Mark Henry. No, I'm joking.
I mean,
no,
honestly,
no, I'm just kidding. He'll stay there. I'm
you
being,
know, but in all
I'm being funny.
seriousness, I mean, he had the secondary world title for a brief run.
No. He's done a lot of good stuff in W. I'm not in front of that. I'm just saying that the 4 is just too damn high.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not to knock him, but again, we're comparing the very top of the top here, and
Right.
compared to other people, I mean, he
Does
is
Does Coco Beware does Coco Beware deserve on this list?
probably not. I mean,
Yeah,
because
I'm same here, but I mean, I
probably
love to have
not.
seen it.
I mean, I can't. I mean, people who saw him down when he was working in some of those Southern territories will say
Yeah.
that he was, will say talk about how great he was, but I can't see for what we've watched. I can't see who. I mean, who would I take off of this list for him? I don't. There's nobody I would take off of this list to put him on there.
So you think the list is fine as is? Then I guess then
Um,
I got to think of another wrestlers the black wrestlers I throw on here. I really can't.
I mean, I'm trying to think of one. And like who I would. I mean, you could make a case for R-Truth because he was NWA World Champion,
Yeah, I can see that.
and I would maybe take off Shelton Benjamin. Maybe.
Ooh, really? Okay.
I mean, you got to take off somebody.
Right. True.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, you have to take somebody off.
I'm about to
So,
go Jazz before I take out Shelton Benjamin. Though, be honest with you.
um, well, Jazz. Okay, well, she was she was a victim of timing.
True.
Um,
No, I agree.
Well, because
if she was like around now in this era's WWE, oh my god, she's amazing.
yeah, but it's just she came in at a time. Basically, she was there to hold the matches together while Trish and Lita learned how to wrestle.
Right.
And so, and she did win the women's title a few times, but that was basically what she was there for. And you know, but so I guess like she doesn't have necessarily a whole lot of accolades. Or she won the title a couple of times, but
yeah,
like she doesn't have this big resume of big matches or whatnot. But people who worked with her, I mean, people know how good she is or how good she was. Um,
I can't think of anybody else honestly to put on the list. I think the list is fine in terms of the names of who are there already, but
yeah,
to take off on someone, I can't think of anybody else honestly. I really can't.
yeah. I mean, because I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, you can make a case for somebody like Butch Reed being on the list.
That's another one. That's a decent one. Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
one. But it's not. There's far too many. I mean, and there's not a lot of black wrestlers too. Also from our heyday that really hit it mainstream outside Junkyard Dog. That's why he's up so high as he is because for that reason.
Yeah, and
He's such
then
an anomaly.
also and these are a couple of people that Cornette brought up. He brought up, you know, like guys like Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah.
And well,
Kamala. I mean Kamala.
yeah, and well, the thing is, like both of them, they were big territory heels, and you know, they drew a lot of money going to different territories, and as heels, you know, for people to see them get beat, it's just. I mean, let's be honest, we don't like the gimmick, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
both of them were, and look, they're both American men, and they were cast as, you know, African savages.
Well, what about Virgil? No, I'm joking. Soul Train Jones.
Yeah, you know, yeah, no, just no. I mean,
Yeah. So I think I think the takeaway here is that they got the list right in terms of the names. Just the order is all jacked up. I think that's where we come up to. All right. Last topic that you got here. All right. So I want to play a clip real quick. This is from my boy Randy Cruz of the Cruise Control podcast, 203 Falls wrestling show he does on his feed, and I found this clip randomly on his TikTok. Because they were him and Graham Matthews of a Beach Report. They were actually debating Roman Reigns and about whether or not he's a Mount Rushmore, is he the GOAT, that kind of thing, and where he plays all time. And some of the takes that Graham had on here were kind of actually
done.
Sorry about that. Were kind of, in my opinion, controversial a little bit. Like at least to me, it was a little shocking. Where he plays Roman. I want to listen to this clip about 2-3 minutes long, and we'll react to it in a second.
Where is Roman Reigns all time?
He's not top 5.
Is he top 10?
I don't even know if he's top 10, but you can make an argument that he might. If he is top 10, it would be at the bottom of that top 10 because you got to include. There's so many people to include from like. You would have to put Hogan over him.
Okay,
I think
Hogan.
I would say you would put Hogan over him. You would put Cena. You would put Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Taker, Shawn, Brett. I mean,
Flair?
There's several others too. What
are we talking about? WWE or just overall wrestling?
Overall wrestling, he's not even in the top like 20. I'm talking about WWE. Macho Man, I would put above him. I mean, those are like the greatest of all time.
So Hogan, Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, John Cena,
Undertaker,
Shawn, Brett. You said Macho?
You could put Brock on that list. Kurt Angle, you would have to put on there. Those people are all better than Roman Reigns. He is not. I don't even know if he's top 10. That's what I'm saying. I think it's still too soon.
No, I'm saying it when it's said and done.
No, I know we're talking today, but I know with that title run, I know why he's up there, would be considered up there. He's not there yet. He's the best of this. He's like the biggest star of this crop of competitors since Cena kind of winded down, but he's still not top 10.
Is he above Orton?
Guys. No, I think Orton's still above him.
So you have Orton in his top 10, 11, 12. Orton is ahead of Roman Reigns. Yeah. Jericho.
You could include Jericho's probably still over Roman. Wow. Yeah. Jericho. You can include Ric Flair. You can include
Edge?
Including all of wrestling.
Edge?
What? Yeah, probably, yeah. I would put him over Roman too.
Damn, Graham.
Wow.
They're just bigger. They're bigger stars. more well-rounded, and Roman's great, but he's just, I think people have this cloud of judgment because that reign Roman might have the greatest title reign of all time. I would say that. But in terms of overall, I think those people have had longer careers. They've had sometimes better careers, more iconic matches, better promos, more well-rounded. Currently, that's just what it is.
Bro, this man has main evented what? How many WrestleManias?
It doesn't matter. I think all those other people. I mean,
Brock.
It's a factor.
Brock is above Roman. I would assume Brock.
Yeah. No, I said Brock before. Yeah, probably Brock. Yeah.
Oh man, you're a tough judge.
These people
You're a tough
like,
judge.
We're talking cream of the crop, dude. Like these people are. I would rather watch a Edge, Jericho, Rock, Austin. Like those people are all bigger stars. I probably would rather watch one of their matches currently over Roman Reigns. That's just a fact. Kurt Angle, definitely. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. These are like the GOATs. Hogan is probably on par with Roman in terms of like promos and matches, but he's still he's still the biggest star in all of wrestling history. One of them. Definitely over Roman Reigns.
Well, I'm going to DM Paul Heyman and let him know what you said about his tribal chief, and no more interviews for you and Paul Heyman, right?
I guess so.
All right. I saw your reaction to this in the background. Folks couldn't see that, but here's what I'll say about his list. I disagree with him 100% on that, but I think the problem is I believe he might have different criteria about what makes someone the greatest or the top 10, top 5. Like he was using a lot of his like who he personally likes to watch first off, and I look. There's a lot of guys that you won't consider even top 30 that I love watching. I love watching Rapture McRude. But he's not a top 30 guy, probably a top 20 guy all time in WWE history because of, shorter career than number one. But the only thing I will give him is this, Graham, is that the cloud of judgment part he said there, where I kind of sort of see where he's coming from, is that if we were to take away the last 5 years, the Roman heel turn, the tribal chief head of the table thing, are we having that conversation about Roman Reigns about even stepping on the top 15 list? Because this last 5 years has really turned on the conversation about where he stands all time. Because I don't think we're having this conversation about Roman Reigns before 2020.
Okay, so if we just take 2012 to 2020,
right?
If we just take that,
right,
that is a better WWE career than Kurt Angle. Because during that time, Roman main evented, let me see, 31, 32, 34. Okay, so from 2012 to 2020, Roman main evented 4 WrestleManias. Kurt Angle main evented.
Right. Does how he was reacted to, the fans reacted to him, like, because obviously Vince had him as a babyface, try to make him the face, obviously the guy, and which he was the guy, but fans weren't taking to him. And it was different from Cena, because John Cena was getting a reaction on both ends passionately, whereas it did feel like with Roman, there's a lot of go-away heat with Roman.
Well, because see, and that's why I got to disagree, because yes, on television, yes. But when there was a lot of it was performative, okay?
Right.
Because I went and I saw him at several house shows, and the whole building was cheering for him.
Right.
It wasn't mixed. There were not.
This is pre-2020, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of that booing was performative. Now does that mean okay, was everybody a fan of his? No. But a lot of that reaction, a lot of that hostile stuff was very performative. And there were times even where, if you listen closely, there were times where people would actually pop for him doing the spear, and then when he covered the guy, they would start booing again.
Yeah.
So I'm a Roman super fan, and so, but I can tell you, I was in buildings where the whole building was cheering for him, and those were the house shows, yes, and a lot of the hostile stuff was performative, and there were people hijacking shows. And now, yes, there were people absolutely who did not like that he was being pushed at the top. Yes, that is true. I'm not saying that they weren't. But if you're gonna use people booing him as a reason to say that Kurt Angle had a better run than he did, really? I mean,
so let's do a list right now. Let's do a quick list in any
okay.
order.
And let's
So
just
guys, top 10 list right now. So top 10 guys we consider right now to lock top 10s. Okay, Hogan obviously top 10.
Yes.
Austin top 10. Rock
Yes.
top 10. That's 3.
Yes.
Okay. Cena top 10. That's 4.
Yes.
Taker top 10. 5. Right.
Yes.
Savage top 10. He's interesting actually because I mean
maybe number 10. I think Roman's ahead of him if we're doing our top 10. But
okay, so let's go Savage at 6 as the top 10 guy. Okay, Shawn Michaels top 10.
Maybe.
Most people say he's the top 10. That's 7 guys. Bret Hart.
No.
Don't tell DJ that. He'll get pissed at you.
I mean, if we're talking about guy at in terms of wrestling ability, he's top 5. But I mean, if you look at it compared to other people, his run at the top was pretty short. It was from 90.
There's a lot of lists right now. I'm looking at. I've seen last couple of years now. I had him in the top 3 because of his work. I mean, but I see the argument. Brock Lesnar top 10.
Maybe.
Because one thing I agree with Graham on this one is that I don't even think it's an argument at this point now. That one reign might be the greatest.
It's a difference maker. It's a difference. Yes, it is definitely the difference.
It stacks the deck. That thing stacks the deck.
Yes, it absolutely does. No, it absolutely does. It does make all the difference in the world. Yes, it absolutely does.
See, Roman's in my top 10. See, the thing for me is Roman's in my top 10. That's not even controversial for me. To me, I think the big conversation for me about Roman is whether or not he's a Mount Rushmore guy, and I'm not there yet.
That's the tricky part because, all right, I mean, he's had a longer run than Brett. Brett's run was only 4 years, like 4.5 years, maybe. Or 5.
Well, 92 to 97. Okay. So 92, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5.5 years.
And then, Brett was definitely they were not doing the kind of business with Brett on top.
Obviously, yes.
So, and that, if it's somebody, if you're talking short runs, then you got to have done a lot of business for the short run, like Austin, right?
And that's what hurts Brett. That's why Austin gets number 1 status because of the fact that he was Height of Power as the biggest superstar in history of the company. Height of Powers.
And then, so I would put him. I mean, I think probably around 6 or 7 because Hogan, Austin, Rock. I think.
Okay. So we established the top 10 against 10 guys. Who are we putting ahead of Roman in the top 10? Put Hogan ahead of Roman? Yes.
Okay. Yes.
We'll put Austin ahead of Roman.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to put Cena ahead of Roman.
Yes.
Okay. What about
The Rock? Yes.
Rock? Yes. That's 4 guys. Taker.
Yes.
Taker? So I say yes. That's the 30 years gives him the advantage here.
Well, okay. So Taker has the longevity. But he was never the number 1 guy. He was always.
But that was by design, though. Be honest.
That was by design. But again, you're right. That was by design. By design, he was never the number 1 guy.
Right. I think if Roman has another run like this for another 3 or 4 years, Height of Powers, I'll get a Roman. Okay, Taker.
Now you do have to include Roman's up to 13 years now, so he's not.
Yeah,
this isn't, and he's been in this high position for about 10 years. But then you also you can't leave out the Shield. I mean, they were super.
Yeah, that helps his argument too. Also.
Yeah. So I think him and Taker, there's a conversation. That's one where you can debate and you can make points and go back and forth.
Right, because I have Roman between 5 and 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll put him ahead of Shawn Michaels at this point. I'll put him ahead of ahead of Brett. I'll put him ahead of Savage. I'll put him ahead of, and I'm a Savage mark, so for me to say that's a thing a lot.
Because
it's Taker. Yeah, go ahead.
Because Savage was what, 7 years, 8 years?
9 years. 9 years.
Okay, from 85 to 94.
Yeah.
And
But as a number 2 guy, and he held the title twice, but
yeah,
there's 1 year where he was the number 1 guy because Hogan was away for a little bit doing movies. But
yeah.
Savage is arguably the greatest number 2 guy. Savage might be arguably the greatest Scotty. Well, actually, I say Rocky. I always say the Rock is probably the best number 2 guy ever because to me, people always say the Rock was the number 1 guy in that era. No, it's Austin. It was Austin.
It was Austin. Yes,
it was Austin. It was Austin. There was never a point in that time that Rock was bigger than Austin.
Not when
you can argue even. Never had Austin.
Yeah,
and Austin was the driving force, and Austin was the driving force of the Attitude Era.
Yes.
So that's why I would say the Rock was the greatest number 2 guy in history of the company. Right after him is Savage with Hogan.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. So to me, Roman's between 5 and 7.
Yeah,
I put him in number 6 probably. I put Taker 5 and Roman 6.
Yeah, I think honestly it depends. Yeah, to me it depends on. Yeah, it just depends on how you look at it between him and Taker, right? I mean,
yeah.
If you're going to look at it like from a longevity standpoint, then yes, it's Taker. But from a peak, from a card position and also accolades, because I mean I think then it would be Roman. So I think they're probably tied. So so what? I guess they'd be tied for 5th or what? Because Cena, Rock, Austin, and Hogan.
Right.
Yeah. So I'd have them basically tied for 5th.
Yeah, and that's why I look at it too. Also,
But
and Rob, yep, good.
But I mean, Kurt Angle, please. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Kurt Angle, Jericho, come on now, stop.
Jericho,
stop, because it's the way you booked also too. It's Height of Powers. Who's doing business? Who's the head of the company? He's been head of the company now for a good. So, it was up in the air for a couple of years between 2018 2020. Leukemia played a part in that, but once he came back as a heel, that changed. And the fact that he was able to do this for 5 years as a heel gives him an advantage as well too.
And
that was the case.
Yeah, and then also the fact that I mean, he does this like, Cody worked with him, and now Cody's working with Cena.
Right.
Like Roman was, Roman worked with Jay for a few months, and Jay is a big thing now.
Yeah, Roman made a lot of guys too. Also.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, look, Roman, more guys have turned into something off of working with Roman, and I've said, look, the only other person who made that many guys into something was Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that has to account. I think that has to account for something in there somewhere. But because I mean, look, now it's not their responsibility to make people. It isn't, and that's an IWC thing where like, oh well, nobody gets over working with this person, and then they don't elevate anybody. That's not their responsibility. Their responsibility is to do the main events and to draw the money. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
But so I think in the long run you do. I mean, that is, but I do think that is something you have to consider, that how many guys through working with him, careers did improve.
Yeah. Cody, Jay, he even got Sami Zayn over with the bloodline thing as well too. Also, he's made the bloodline with the other guys, Sol Sikoa and all those guys. I mean, he's made a lot of guys, and I think that's why I think he's still a top 10 guy, and probably not quite Mount Rushmore just yet, because I think he needs to extend this run now for a couple more years. But because the guys you have at the top 4 are Height of Powers, bigger culturally. Cena culturally, Hogan culturally, Rock and Austin culturally. Roman's not quite there yet culturally in the same way, but that may be the next thing on the horizon with him. So that's why I'll stop short of giving him a top 5 status.
Yeah, so I think honestly, I think long run, I think if he if he keeps going for another few years like he's going now, then I think I would put him at number 5 ahead of Taker. But he's still got he's got a few years where he's got to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, Rob, thanks for coming to pod as always. Plug away.
Okay, so as always, you can catch me, DJ, and Jason on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast every week, and you can catch me on the Rob the Genius Podcast now. That will be happening a lot more frequently.
Thank God, right? Love the last episode, by the way. Love the last episode.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. Also, again, like I said, also we are back now. The new show, False Count Anywhere. You can follow me on Twitter at EJChristian7, Blue Sky, EJChristian7 as well, too. Also, on Wrestling Podcast, of course. This show will be a part of the Wrestling Podcast, of course, in the feed at Earnestly Pod on YouTube, Earnestly Pod on TikTok as well, too. And so it's a new era now of the show. We've been doing this weekly-ish. We'll be going weekly definitely through WrestleMania, and then we'll figure out from there. But new show, False Count Anywhere. We're out. So good job as always. Thank you, Rob, and talk to you guys till the next one.